Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at troubleshooting a hot tub here. Specifically, I've got an issue where this tub is not heating, okay? So I'm going to show you what to check, show you what kind of tools that we would be using, and hopefully I can help save you some money in the long run here, all right? So before we get into it, I just want to give a huge thank you to the 570 folks who took the time to hit that subscribe button. Makes a huge difference for the channel, so thank you so much for that. If it is your first time here and you like what you see, again, please consider hitting that subscribe button, giving me a like, leaving a comment, letting me know what you think of the process here. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I had some issues with this tub back in the winter time, and I had to do an emergency winterization and shutdown of it, which is super fun when it's minus 40 degrees Celsius outside, okay? Long story short, I was able to refill the tub with water. The tub did start back up, which is awesome, and I didn't have any leaks, so that means that I was successful with the winterization. The problem I was having though is that the tub wouldn't heat, okay? So that's what we're gonna dig into today. So the challenge that I have though is that my equipment bay is under my deck basically. So that's a big challenge, right? Depending how you've got your tub set up, if you've got easy access to the equipment bay, it's very easy to be able to go in there and troubleshoot it. So you got to remember, if you're going to be troubleshooting issues with a hot tub, you're going to likely be dealing with electricity, okay? You need to respect what you're working on, all right? If you're not comfortable working around electricity, get an electrician, get someone who knows what they're doing to come in here and do the troubleshooting, okay? Okay, if you're still here, I know that you're like me and you're gonna dig into this thing and get it figured out on your own. First things first, respect what you're working on. Understand that you've got 240 volts at anywhere from 40 to 60 amps, depending on what type of tub you have, okay? And that can cause some serious damage to you if you're not careful, all right? I'm gonna make sure that the breaker is off for the type of testing I'm gonna be doing, not only outside here at my panel, but inside my main panel in the house as well, all right? I know that I can have my energy sources isolated, locked out, no one's going to touch them, and I'm going to be dealing with the tub without any power going to it. Now, with that said, for some troubleshooting steps, you may need to energize the tub. Okay, what we're going to go through today, I'm not going to need to have power going to the tub for the purposes of those tests. Okay, so I just wanted to get that. All right, so I've already taken the liberty of taking the side off of the hot tub. Okay, and now we got to crawl under the deck. So come on in and let's get started. But before we do that, I just want to show you guys the tools that we're going to be needing for today. Okay, so some of the tools that you're maybe going to need to have here to be able to troubleshoot the hot tub is going to be a multimeter or a clamp meter. I've got a pipe wrench as well as an oil change wrench, and that's going to be if I've got to remove the old heater and get it out of there. I've got some needle nose pliers, and I got a few different various wrenches, and I'll link those sizes in the description below just so you guys have it, and a flashlight as well here. Okay, so just talking about a few more of the issues I've been having with my tub. So here's the situation. My tub powers up and it'll stay running. The tub will call for heat. Okay, I can see my little heater icon on the control panel come on, which is good. Problem is the tub will not get over a certain temperature, and that temperature is like ambient, okay? That's your giveaway. If whatever your outdoor temperature is, if you're within a couple of degrees of that and it won't climb any higher no matter what you set it to, it's literally just the pump in the equipment bay running. That's the only thing providing your heat, all right? So in my setup, that's where I knew I was at, okay? So right off the hop, that's gonna kind of direct my troubleshooting to primarily the heater, but I also want to make sure that I take a look at the circuit board as well, okay? This is an old circuit board from my tub, and this one ended up dying on me many years ago, probably about 10 at this point, all right? And if you take a close look at that, hopefully the camera's going to pick it up there. Where the heater relay is right here on the board, okay? You might be able to see the discoloration there. That's where that heater relay blew, okay? So right away I can see charring and discoloration here, but on the back of the board, hopefully the camera picks that up, but you can see right where the back of the board, the back of where that relay solder just blew out and let go. So I knew right off of the hop, that's where I had to direct my troubleshooting was to the circuit board, okay? In this case, my breaker doesn't trip, the pumps both still run, I'm just not getting heat. So that's gonna show me pretty much that I'm gonna be at the heater here, okay? In terms of where my troubleshooting is gonna be. So that's where we're gonna start. Again, the troubleshooting we're gonna go through in the video is gonna primarily take place with the main breaker off to the tub, okay? So we're relatively safe, but again, we're still gonna proceed with caution under there anyway. All right. Yeah, here's the part I love the most. All right, try to get under here. And of course, nothing is easy under here. Like, if all I had to do was change a heater on this thing, it would probably take me 45 minutes, but because it's for a YouTube video, there's like 3 hours of prep that has to go into it. I do it for you guys. Okay, so now we're in the equipment bay. The panel behind me, I've got to take off, and that's what's going to expose my circuit board, and I'll be able to see the back side of the heater. So let's go ahead and get that done. Hopefully you guys can see it up here as well. I'm going to have a heck of a time trying to get all the angles in here, but we're going to do the best we can so you can see everything. All right, so first things first, I got to take a look at my control panel here. Hopefully that's going to show up on the camera. Yep. I'm going to try to be mindful of how I do this with the light. I'm going to have 4 screws around the perimeter. Now, my hot tub is a Sweetwater Spas Bahia, okay? That's from 2002. The tips and whatnot that I'm going to show you in this particular video here, they can apply to a lot of different tubs, okay? The same principles will roughly be the same, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get the control panel open here. Okay, there we go. Now we're in. All right, so I'm hoping I can maybe give you guys a better look with this camera here. Let's see. Punch in like that, come down here. Okay, you'll get a rough idea. So everything that you're looking at up here, this is my circuit board, okay? Everything down there, with the exception of that big kind of goldish silverish looking box off to the side, that's actually all my heater controls, okay? So here I have got a pressure switch, I've got a temperature sensor, and then I've got the actual, that red and that black wire, that's what's actually going to my heater, okay? You can also see where my power wire comes into the panel here, okay? So we're gonna be focusing our testing right down here at those 2 terminals on the heater. Now, if you've ever worked with, like, let's say electric hot water tank, for instance, the same kind of principles of you know, changing an element, testing an element, they're going to apply here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to test this thing for continuity, okay? Basically to see, is there a circuit present? That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so in order to do that, just try to get a little bit of ambient light here. Okay, in order to do that, that's where this thing's gonna come in, and this is a multimeter, okay? This is a very cheap, generic multimeter that I got from Canadian Tire. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it to my continuity setting. Don't know if the camera's gonna pick this up with this kind of light, but maybe. Okay, so there's my continuity setting there. And I'm gonna set it so that it beeps. So what'll happen now is, if I take those probes, and I touch these probes together, hopefully the camera picks that up. Let's put this a little closer. There we go, we get a beep. That means that there's a complete circuit, okay? So again, I've got my power off my main breaker here. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna test for continuity. First things first. All right, so I'm gonna set my meter up here. Again, I'm not too sure if the camera's gonna pick this up or not. Hopefully, you guys can see this. Set that up there. Okay. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test those probes right here coming from the heater.
Okay, so again, just to test. All right, I got continuity there. I'm gonna test this terminal and this terminal, and I've got nothing. Okay, so that's gonna tell me, and I'm gonna test something, say like the casing here. Yeah, okay, so if I tested something like the temperature sensor, for instance, I was able to get a reading there. Okay, so if I was able to get a reading off of the temperature sensor, right away that tells me that those two terminals in there are dead. Okay, so that was super easy, okay? There's a few other ways you could do this too. You could try to test ohms or resistance, and I believe a 5.5 kilowatt heater should have something in the ballpark of around 10.6, 10.8 ohms of resistance, okay? You could test voltage as well in the system. I like to come try continuity because continuity, it's either a yes or a no, okay? If I had continuity, then yeah, I'd have to go ahead and test a few other things out, okay? So yeah, anyway, just something to keep in mind here. So now that I know that that's the case, now I gotta start to disassemble all these goodies in here, and I gotta try to free this heater. So I'm gonna have to disconnect these unions on either side, and then all the associated bolts and connectors on this side to get the heater out. Then we can inspect it. I'm willing to bet it's the element. I may have a replacement one already. And then I'll show you guys how we're gonna change the element out here. All right, so you guys can just get a better look at what we're talking about here. Okay, now, one thing I want to show you guys here, if we can see, it's easier to keep the light off. There we go. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see, but on either side here, okay, I've got my unions for my heater. Now, one thing you may or may not notice with this particular hot tub, there are no shutoffs. There's no gate valves, okay? I've drained and cleaned all the water out of this thing already, but this is a low spot, okay? So as soon as I disconnect these unions, I'm gonna get water coming out of here. Now, I promise, I didn't actually do this ahead of time, but I was able to just reef these off by hand, so I don't actually need the oil change filter wrench or the pipe wrench. But again, it's handy to have these things because, again, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up or not, but that would give me the ability to be able to crank that thing off if I had to be able to get to it. And that's a nice simple fix here. These are relatively cheap, and if you do your own oil changes, you probably got one already. So there you go. Okay, so these two tools I won't need for right now. What I am gonna need though, and again, maybe you'll see it here, is I'm gonna need my little wrench because I gotta start taking these terminals off here, and there's gonna be another one that holds everything in the back, like once I get the pressure switch out. Okay, let's get that off here. Whoa, get the strobe show out of there. Okay, let me just punch in here so you guys can see it. Okay, so down here, again, difficult for you guys to see without proper light here. But I'm gonna actually just take a picture of this so I can see the orientation of the wires for the pressure switch, just to make sure I put everything back together, okay? So again, just a word to the wise here. If you're ever working on this stuff and you maybe are a bit confused when you have to start disconnecting things, take pictures. You can go back and reference them after, and it's gonna make your life a heck of a lot easier, okay? So let's take a picture of that. Okay, thank you very much to my wife for the assist. I needed a 9mm socket so I could get that off easily. Okay, so that's my temperature sensor probe. So now that is loose and out of the way, so that's perfect. There is a set of spacers behind that I'll have to take off. So again, didn't anticipate on those being there, but I'm gonna take a picture of them just so we got one for reference. Okay, so now I've got temperature sensor off. Next stop on the train is going to be the terminals for the heater. Okay, now a word to the wise. This old one, I really don't care about now, okay? So I'm going to use the socket to take them off. You should be using a wrench to hold the nut underneath them in place so that when you go to turn them, you're not going to get into any trouble and you're not going to crack or break anything. When we go through reinstallation, I'm going to make sure that I do that. But for now, I just want this thing out of here. I've got all the electronics unhooked. I just have the pressure sensor in place. Now here's the thing. Remember I was telling you guys before, this is a low spot, okay, where this heater is. I'm going to assume that this tubing's full of water. If I disconnect this low pressure switch here, while there's still water in the system, I'm gonna get a huge mess right inside this little tray here, and I wanna keep this dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crack the unions on either side of the heater, okay? Once the water's kind of drained enough out the relief area here, then I'll take that part out. Now with that said, with my particular setup here, there's one more bolt that's holding this thing in place. I gotta make sure that I take care of that first. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna crack these unions loose, and I should get some water here. Yeah, there we go. There's the water. Okay, now you guys probably won't be able to see it here. Maybe I can give you a look. Let's see. Can I punch in enough and point this down? You might be able to see some gushing out. Yep. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so same thing, right? I'm gonna just let that run here. Yeah, I can hear it just glug, glug, glugging. All right, I think we got most of it out of there. Perfect. Okay, that's loose. Same thing as to get the union on this side. Oh yeah, and that one's free too. Perfect. Okay, so that's completely loose. Now I can go ahead and I can take out that piece here. So now this should just twist in. And there's my pressure sensor out. I'm just gonna put this off to the side here. And again, I don't think you guys are gonna be able to see it there, but there's one more bolt here that's holding the entire heater assembly in place. I gotta take that out. Now, one thing you're not gonna see is I also have a temperature probe on the back side, and I gotta make sure I take that out too, then we're home free. Oh, just kidding. One more bolt hiding on this side. There we go. All right. There we go. Okay. Bingo! All right, we got the old heater out. Okay, so now what I'll do is, now that I got this puppy out of here, let's go back up top and we'll take a look and see if we can start diagnosing this thing. All right, we'll see you up. Oh, freedom! Okay, so yeah, that heater I'm pretty sure is what's toast. So now we're gonna go up top and I'll show you how we change the guts out. Okay, so here's the old heater, all right, and specifically the heater element. I don't know if you guys can actually see through there or not, okay? So here's the thing, based on what I can see just looking through here, like, it doesn't look terrible, okay? But that's not to say that there isn't an issue with it somewhere, okay? So what I gotta do first of all is I gotta take these two nuts off the top here. That's gonna let me get at the actual element here. So I've got a 19mm wrench. And again, with this assembly, don't really care so much. Reassembly, we're definitely gonna make sure that we're taking care in the process in terms of how much force we're putting on these things. So, loosen that one, loosen this one, and these nuts will come off here. And this is a good time just to kind of inspect to see if you have any leaks or anything like that. Like I can see I got a little bit of corrosion around the top of the tube here, where I've got these washers. So I'm just gonna pop these off and put those to the side for now, okay? You guys can see. So now what should happen is this element should drop out of here and I should be able to pull it right through the tube, okay? That's in a perfect world. This probably isn't gonna drop straight down and allow me to pull it out. I would be shocked if it did, okay? So let's see what kind of fun I'm gonna be in for here. You guys can get a better look at that. All right, so I'm gonna start just by pushing on these terminals. I might use a wrench here. Okay, so that's the easy part. It drops down, okay?
So that's usually what will happen, right? It'll drop down and you'll see one sunken in, but you're always gonna have one that rides a little bit higher. That one's a pain in the butt to get out of here, okay? So I am just gonna try to press this down with a wrench and see. Oh yeah, that's super stiff. If I could get enough just to be able to slide this thing out of here. And because this is flared the way that it is, you're gonna have a heck of a time getting it out of here. My concern, not so much getting the old one out, it's gonna be getting the new one back in without causing any kind of damage to it. Basically, you gotta think of this heater element as kind of like a wire within a wire almost, okay? We'll dig into that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is gonna be the fun part. Like you can try to rotate the element around a little bit, twist it a bit. Might help you get a little bit more tolerances here, but I'm having a heck of a time compressing this to a point where I can actually get it out of here. You know, the other option too is you literally can just buy this entire replacement unit. My challenge was this here in Canada, the replacement was about 330 bucks plus taxes, which would put it at about 360, 375 Canadian. The element, the replacement here, ran me 60 bucks delivered to my door. So worth a little bit of struggle. Hey, there it is. All right, so I got the old one out, but at a little bit of a cost here. You can see that I ended up bending one of those terminals there, okay? Now, again, looking at the element, I mean, I can see a little bit of pitting and corrosion around the sides here, and that might be enough to cause this thing to fail. Again, when I tested it, I had no continuity. So that's gonna be that. So now, if I take a look at the nice shiny new one, oh, what a difference. So we're going from that to that, okay? Hopefully this one's gonna slip in a little bit easier. I'm just gonna try to hold them up and see. Yeah, this one looks like it maybe is a little bit lower. So this one that I picked up here is actually a hydro quip. This was just what I found off of Amazon, okay? I have no idea if it's gonna be good or bad. It had a decent amount of ratings. We're gonna find out. Nice thing is it comes with a complete set of new mounting hardware here. So there's a set of gaskets, and the gaskets are gonna ride right around here in the element, okay? And then you've got a new set of bolts that go on top here, as well as a new set of connecting nuts that's gonna hold the wires to the actual heating element itself. So I'm just gonna take one run with this into here just to see, you know, tolerance-wise, what it's looking like. Oh yeah, that's snug. You can hear how snug it is when I'm rolling it in there too. Okay, that's not bad. What I'm gonna do though first is I'm gonna make sure that I put those washers on first. Okay, you don't wanna forget that, because then you're gonna have a situation where the heater probably... I've got this shiny new body from a project when I had this tub, or when I originally got the hot tub rather. So I'm just gonna see to make sure that this mocks up completely to this, because if it does, I just think we're going with the new setup here, guys. This is gonna be better. Yeah, this one's shiny and new. This one's not. Yeah, this is gonna be way better, I think. Get rid of all the old corrosion. Yeah, let's do it. We're gonna go with the new one, I think. All right, so first things first, slip these gaskets in place. Okay, now, I don't know if you guys can actually see that or not, hopefully. You've got an epoxy coating on these terminals here, okay? It is really important that we don't over tighten this or bend them too much, because if you get a crack there, you're probably going to trip your GFCI every single time, because you're going to have an issue with resistance there, or it's going to just short out. Okay, so you got to be careful putting these things back in. So just going to check down the barrel here, make sure everything is in fact, yeah, it's pretty darn close. Okay, let's see. Slip this in here at an angle.
Okay. Well, the good news is, like, you can, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you can like see it in the inside. It's just going to be super tight to try to turn it to get them to pop up into those spots there. So again, you don't want to break anything. Try to get these centered as best I can. And I need to try to rotate these up. And of course, these are designed in such a manner that you really can't get your fingers in here effectively. And I'm sure there's going to be hot tub pros here that are like, oh yeah, just grab it from this angle and twist and it'll go in no problem. But hey, we're all in this together. We'll figure it out. Like, that thing too is like, why did they design it to such a tight tolerance like that? You know, you give me another millimeter and I'd probably be okay here. See, I'm so close. One of them is about to come through, but I got to get this in far enough and then be able to rotate it. So let's see here. Like, if I could get thumb and an index finger in here, no problem. I could probably twist it right into place. Huh. Okay, we're gonna make this work, but we're gonna rethink our plan just a little bit here. All right, I'm gonna check back in with you guys in just a bit. Okay, so after like much jostling, I don't know if you guys can see it, I was able to get it lined up so that it's straight. But like any other reference material that I've seen or watched, the guys show you, oh yeah, just put the element in here, turn it with your fingers a little bit, and it just pops right in the holes. Not these ones, no way, super tight. So now I've got the two studs lined up in these spots here. What I'm gonna do, I've got these screwdrivers. Now these ones are meant specifically for dealing with electrical stuff. Again, these are Mastercraft brand. We get them from Canadian Tire. You guys are probably gonna have the same thing at like a Harbor Freight, okay? Or Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. I'm gonna attempt to carefully put the screwdriver in here, push the little terminal down as I try to push it forward. You want to be super careful with this to make sure that you don't scratch that element or damage that in any way, shape, or form, because you scratch that, you pit that, eventually water is going to intrude into there, and then you're going to end up tripping the GFCI, or the heater is going to end up failing on you. So I'm going to try to be as careful as I can. So let's see if I can actually just push this into place here. Like, I'm confident. Okay, these like barely want to budge in here. Like, it is tight. See, if you look at the old one that I took out, you can see how I just... And like, I could try to go in through this hole and push down, but there's that gasket there and I don't want to damage the gasket either. So like, it is a game of very tight tolerances here. I would absolutely love to hear in the comments below, if anyone has ever attempted this before, how you would go about doing it. Because like I said, this one definitely isn't just slipping in place. I'm gonna try to slip my screwdriver just past the gasket while pushing down and then trying to push this whole thing forward. Okay, I got it to move, but I'm hoping I'm not just bending the terminal. I think it's all moving. Either that or I'm bending the terminal. No, I got it to move. Yeah, okay. All right, let me try pushing on the back one a bit. Oh, yeah. Well, definitely bent that one. Yeah, and like, to get this one to bend over, no problem. It's that front one that is so tight in here. Well, the epoxy is still somewhat intact, but yeah, you can see how I bent that. Oh, super frustrating, guys. Super frustrating.
Well, I think we're going to be successful this time because I've now bent this terminal to high heavens. So we're going to roll the dice and see if this even works. I could not find another way to actually effectively get this to come through that hole. Hey, there we go. Okay. All right, I'm gonna take one of these retention nuts here. There we go. All right, well, that other terminal, I'm gonna straighten them up gently. We're gonna call that good. A little crooked, but it's there. All right, so I'll take our screwdriver. Now we got our gaskets on the inside, which is perfect. We wanna make sure we've got that seal. We're gently gonna snug these guys up. Okay, now, because as you guys can see, I did a little bit of a mangle job on that. I'm gonna go ahead with my multimeter and I'm gonna test continuity to make sure I didn't break the wire off inside. I'm also gonna test resistance just to see what we get here. So, try to straighten this just a little bit more. Okay, yeah, that's better. All right, let's see what we get here. Okay, continuity on the probes. We're gonna take the old element here, test the old one. Yeah, I got no continuity on the probes. On the exterior metal, I have continuity, probes, got nothing. Okay, moment of truth with the new one. Oh, thank goodness. Yes, we got continuity, perfect. That's what we want to have. Okay. Test resistance. 10.5, a little bit lower than I'd like. Okay. All right. So let's snug these up now. And if we take a look down the interior of the barrel, maybe it'll focus, maybe not. Okay, so we can see we've got everything installed in there. So let's go ahead and get this back in the tub. Okay, so we're back under the tub here. Home stretch, crossing my fingers that I didn't damage that element. I'm a little concerned because normally I think you want your resistance to be around 10.6, 10.8, somewhere in that ballpark on a 5.5 kilowatt heater. I'm at about 10.4, 10.5. So I might have messed something up. So we are gonna go ahead, we are gonna reinstall this fella here now. So a couple things to be mindful of, and again, it's really tough for me to give you kind of those close-up views that you guys are used to with a lot of the stuff that's under here, just with how we're set up in general. There are gonna be gaskets. These guys right here, okay? So these gaskets, let's see, there it is, okay. So yeah, these gaskets here are actually gonna fit on the inside of the heater, like so, okay? But there's a section on the plumbing where these fit directly into it. They're grooved. So I'm gonna try to pop both of these in on those sides first. Once I got them in, I'm then gonna try to slip the heater tube in place, lining up those bolt holes so that we can get the heater mounted in. Once that's in, then we're gonna reconnect that temperature sensor, the pressure switch, and then we're gonna hook up the power, and we're gonna cross our fingers and hope that when I flip that breaker, it just doesn't automatically flip back off. So we'll see what happens. Now, there is also, yeah, here it is. There's also that temperature probe I was talking about before. You guys didn't get to see it, but it is back here. I was gonna drape that up here for now. It's kind of just embedded into the old sensor. Yep, that worked out real well.
Okay, yeah. All right, so that gasket's on and in place. All right, so far so good. I'm actually gonna see if I can lock this piece of the heater in place here. Okay, we're gonna try to get this guy locked. I'm gonna try to lock those two heater nuts into place now that I got that side secured. Right on, okay. That side's in snugged up. We're gonna get the other side here now. Before I tighten that, let me just make sure. Yeah, the gasket's in there, okay. Now let's get this locked in here. Okay, yeah, hand tight. This one could use a little more hand tight. There we go. All right. This nut is now snug. Okay, next up, temperature probe. Now, this one is interesting because for my temperature probe here, at least anyway, I've got two little nuts that are on the very back that kind of hold the sensor just a certain distance off of the heater. So yeah, we're gonna roll with that. Okay, almost there. And again, I know it's super tough to see. I don't think the GoPro is going to capture it probably from this angle what I'm actually doing, but you just gotta trust me. Just with those terminals. All right, so now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my temperature, my pressure sensor back in there. Okay, and now this is where taking that picture earlier, I hope is gonna kind of pay dividends for me here. So now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna cross-reference that picture that I took to make sure I've got that pressure sensor in the right orientation. Zoom in so you guys can see it here. Yeah, just making sure that we've got this in the right orientation and that we connect the wires back up the right way. So let's get to that. Red to the top, black to the bottom. All right, reconnecting my wires here. There we go. All right, pressure switch is reconnected. Okay, so now I'm at the point where I've got to connect the hot tub's power wires to the heater element. Okay, so this we got to be careful with, because if I haven't already broken that element, here's the next possible time it's going to happen, because what you're doing is you're tightening it up on top of that tiny little stud that's encased on that epoxy. Okay, so again, if you tighten it too much, or you're not holding that bottom nut properly, that's where we're going to run into issues. I'm going to try to zoom on this camera so you guys can hopefully get a better gander here. Again, I don't know if it's going to fully pick it up or not for you guys, but okay, there we go. Okay, folks, we are all reconnected here. All right, so now time for the moment of truth. We've got, oh boy, you can't see anything. Oh, we're still focused back there. Okay, so moment of truth here. All right, we got everything reconnected, pressure switch is on, everything's tight. I'm gonna do a test power up of the hot tub just to see if the GFCI trips, okay? Actually, before that, I'm gonna check continuity one more time, make sure I didn't break anything, and we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully we nailed it. Oh, that's a good beep. That's a good beep, guys. That's what you want to hear. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm just gonna leave the camera running here in case something blows up. At least we'll catch it on film. I was lying. We're not done yet. I got a temperature probe I gotta reconnect still. That one temperature probe that hides in the back. That's gotta get reconnected. There we go. All right, there it is. Now let's try to flip into power. Okay, so far so good. Top side of the tub powered up. Now I should have known better. Tub can't call for heat until I have enough water in here. So I'm gonna put the hose in, we're gonna start filling it. Okay guys, so I was able to flip the breaker. The primary pump kicked in, secondary pump kicked in, and then the tub called for heat. Tub currently says it's heating. GFCI didn't trip, breaker didn't trip. So yeah guys, I think we nailed it. Oh man, at the end of the day, it's kind of a crappy job because of where my panel's located. If you had to do the same job and your equipment bay was on the exterior of a house or anything like that, this definitely would be an easy fix. For me, the hardest part was just literally getting under here to be able to do the work. But guys, I hope that it goes to show you that this was a pretty easy fix at the end of the day. And I think that this is within most people's wheelhouse to be able to diagnose and do a repair of. So folks, if you like the video, you know the drill. Get you to hit that like button, that subscribe button. Again, I'd love to hear your comments on what you thought of the process or if you have a better way of doing it. So folks, take care. See you again in the next video. Bye for now.